was taught as a child that I would be a good person if I loved everyone. Love is noble, love is kind, seek to love, seek to give, not to receive. Jesus loved everyone. Let's love everyone. Kumbaya. Welcome to the real world, where there are people who will try to take advantage, who want to take, who want to mislead, who want to abuse, who want to neglect, who knowingly do it or who unknowingly do it. So I don't want to love everyone. This is just something I became aware of this morning. I was doing my reading. Is like, I realized that I judge myself when I don't just love everyone. And I don't want to just love everyone. And I judge myself because I was taught, early on in life and along the way that makes me a good person, to love everyone, to be kind, to be accepting, to not judge people. I judge people, I judge myself, I judge everything. That's what people do. That's what you do. You're probably judging me right now. I'm either inferior to you or superior to you, or, whatever. My hair isn't just right, or whatever. It's fine. We judge. Okay. And that's just a practice to be like, oh, I'm judging someone right now. Let me not do that. But there's also the part of thinking that I have to love everyone. I think there's some people who don't feel like they have to love everyone. They kind of go through life feeling entitled or hurting people, abusing people. And there are also many women who are like bitchy and controlling and mean towards men. I want to direct this video at women that I think are more like me, who are kind, who are naturally trusting, who are in their feminine energy, and who are soft, open, and receptive. I don't feel like I'm super soft, open, and receptive. I've met women I consider are more feminine than I am, but I do consider myself to be in touch with my feminine energy, and that was modeled to me as a child growing up by my mom, who was soft and receptive, and my dad was the alpha male in the family, and that's the kind of relationship I had with my ex-husband, and that's the kind of relationship I kind of have with my clients and how I see men. So for women like me who want to be in our feminine energy and who are soft and trusting and receptive, it's kind of like we have to guard that energy, because I can't be open and receptive to the whole world when some of the world wants to hurt me or take from me. They don't deserve that part of me, and that's where boundaries come in. The only way to do it without closing our hearts and becoming hardened is to have really good boundaries. Okay? This is my third time making this video, by the way. And I'm kind of getting more into the feeling of like how I really want to show up and what I really want to convey. Because when I made my first video, I was really aware that I don't want to love everyone, and it's a wrong message to just love everyone. But how do we show up in the world without coming across as rude or hardened, especially when we're working with people at work? See, when I was a stay-at-home mom, it was easy for me to stay in this heart space because my family, my ex-husband was kind to me. My children were kind to me. My family was kind to me. And the only people I interacted with were the other moms at the school and the children. And, we had play dates or at soccer practice, or the teachers and the field trips and the neighbors. And people were kind to me. It wasn't until I started working again, I became a realtor, that I realized there were people who would take advantage. They would contact me for information about the real estate market, because my broker and I were also doing research on the market and doing forecasting of housing prices. I had a website called SanDiego Forecast.com. I think there might be still some of the videos on there where I was like making videos about real estate owned properties and short sales. And we were really focused on educating our clients. There were some hedge funds that contacted us for information, and I worked with the San Diego County Reinvestment Task Force. Like, people were at the Poway Housing Commission. So that was super exciting. So people would come to us for information about the housing market, but then they would go work with another realtor. And so I felt like, well, they're kind of taking advantage of our time. Or, there might be, I had a client, I showed her a lot of properties, we wrote up several offers, and then one day she was driving by a house that she wanted to buy, and she just went in there and just worked with that realtor. And I felt like it was kind of blindsiding me when I was the one who had educated her so much and shown her so many houses. So there are ways that people can just be, take advantage. I have a friend who, well, he was one of my former hookup buddies. I call him Nate in the book. He's a realtor now, and he contacted me like a year ago. And, he was telling me how hard it is to be a realtor, because he was showing a client a bunch of properties, and then the client found a house that he liked, and then had his relative write up the offer. So there are ways that clients can be unloving in business. I have another friend who spent a month or so writing up a detailed technical proposal for this client, and then this client took the whole proposal and the intricate details of how the work was supposed to be done and laid out, and then took it to someone else who would do it for less money. And this person had put so much work into the proposal. That, companies do write proposals for free, and they're bidding against other people, but there is a time when people can take advantage of that. In my escort business, it happens too. People want to, get a free phone conversation, or want to get access to my time, or want to pretend they want an appointment, but they never really do, because they are just lonely or bored, or they enjoy playing on people. And then there are people I've met on online dating sites who pretend to like me, or, like this gentleman back in October who kept saying he liked me so much, but he was not acting like it. So I think the only real way to deal with it is to not love everyone, okay? To only love the people who've deserved the right to be loved, and to have boundaries, to have certain boundaries and requirements for people to have access to us. Like, what are the requirements for you to have access to me as a client? What are the requirements for you to have access to me as a friend? What are the requirements I have of you to have access to me as a person I date, or a person that I actually live with, or a person that I marry? What are the requirements I have of you for me to want to fuck you? Do you have to be a person who's sober? Do you have to be honest? Do you have to care about my pleasure? Do you have to be interested in dating me as well? Like, what are my requirements? For my friends, I have requirements for my friends. They have to be authentic and intentional. All my friends that I have either done landmark education or something equivalent. That landmark education, by the way, is a huge wake-up call for people to really become aligned with integrity, intention, and word, the concept of word. My word is who I am. My word, I create my life through my word, what I speak and what I say. Like, it really wakes people up to having intention. It was through landmark that I finally became a person who was on time, who realized the impact I have on other people. That really, before landmark, I didn't even listen to people. I would just talk and think what I had to say was more important. Landmark, I did, like, I would say 7 years ago, between 5 and 7 years ago, I took a bunch of landmark courses, and they made me a much better person. I actually can listen now. I care about other people legitimately. I show up on time. I'm aware of integrity, authenticity, accountability, and word. Landmark, though, doesn't deal with people's feelings. It's all ontological or word based. So I don't think it has all the answers, but I think it's a necessary requirement. And so I have that requirement of my friends, that they have accountability and that they keep their word. I'm still working on the thing with the clients. The thing with the clients is difficult because I have to be open and receptive to potential clients, but yet have enough boundaries that they don't take advantage of me. And that's sometimes it takes 3 emails for me to figure out that they're just game players. And I'm like, well, fuck you, loser. Or people come on my YouTube channel, they watch my videos for free, and then they feel like they can just leave a bunch of disparaging comments. I don't think so, buddy. You're out of here and you're blocked. I do not have to be loving to everyone. I do not have to hold space for just anyone. I don't have to pretend that I don't get mad when people say rude things about me. I do. I don't like it. And actually, I don't mind if people leave rude comments about me elsewhere, but on my channel, in my home, in my space, I don't think so, buddy. You're just blocked because you don't meet the requirements that I have for people to be in my space. I don't have to be loving to random guys on YouTube leaving comments. I don't have to be loving to random guys showing up in my email box. Because if people are struggling with something and want my love and want my attention, they actually have to ask for it and they have to pay for it and they have to earn it. I also think, ladies, that, okay, so there are women who are very harsh and cold and controlling. They're too much in their masculine. Those women have to soften and accept their feminine energy. And I think I'll make a separate video about that because that's something I had to become more in touch with a few years ago. So, but once we're in our feminine energy, we have to really guard our heart and guard who has access to it. And the way to do it, I think, in a healthy way without being guarded is to have boundaries, just to have boundaries. And the way that this works is we kind of get to decide who has access to us. And if that's you in the middle, people that don't know you are way out here, and as they have earned the right to get to closer to you, they have to earn the right to become closer to you. And as they get closer to you, there will be more vulnerability, more sharing, more intimacy, more touch, more closeness, more affection. So if you're in the middle, your lover, your husband, will be here because there's a lot of physical, mental, and emotional intimacy, and there's sex involved. Okay. Then your children and your parents, your siblings would be out here if you have a good relationship with them. You might want to put them out here. I don't know. You can put them wherever you want. And then your close friends would be here. And then maybe here would be people that you work with, clients, neighbors, acquaintances. But if you're good friends with people from your work, you may put them here. And you can move people around. Someone that you were married to, my ex-husband is, he's out here for me now. He was in here and now he's out here. My dad was in here. Now he's not speaking to me, so he's out here. Even though I love him and he loves me, he's out here. But you can move people around. So you don't have to love just everyone. Just make a conscious decision of where you want to put people. You don't have to put your children here if they're rude to you, or they're, your parents are rude to you, or they're narcissists. Put them out here, put them out here. You don't have to keep them here. Decide where you put people. And the further out they are, the less they have access to your time, your resources, and your love, and the thoughts in your mind. So people have to earn it, and the way they earn it is you have boundaries. You get to decide what your boundaries are for each level. Like, what are the requirements for someone to come from here into here? What are the requirements I have for someone to be at this level of intimacy with me? Now, I put a lot, I make YouTube videos. I'm pretty open. I feel like my YouTube videos, you guys know more about me than a lot of my neighbors do. So you guys might be in here a lot, and I try to keep it, but to be here, you actually have to live with me. Um, so you get to decide what are your boundaries and what are your requirements for people to have more and more access to you. This is the love you have for yourself, and then other people get the overflow of that love depending on how much they've deserved and earned. So when you meet a guy on an online dating app, do not put him in here. I know I've done that. Oh, you sound so nice. Boom. No, no, no. There are a lot of predators. There are a lot of people who are not congruent. There are a lot of people who've never done landmark. They don't know the concept of accountability, keeping your word, boundaries, respect, trust. They don't know any of that. So they don't deserve access to that. They don't. I think that for people, women like us who are trusting and who are in our feminine energy and whose hearts are open to connecting, we have to have a little bit of a more bitchy standoff attitude. Like, hey, buddy, show me you fucking even deserve for me to talk to you. And in order to even deserve to be in here, a man should absolutely, on first contact with us, introduce himself. This is my name. This is who I am. This is a little bit about me. And these are my intentions in getting to know you. And when you reply, he should be consistent in showing up, moving things forward, and actually, showing up like a player on the court. You should be an active participant in the court. Imagine that you're playing tennis with this guy. Is he even there to hit the ball back? Or is he just hitting you up and then disappearing for 3 days? Not a very good tennis player right there. So you get to decide. And I think when we are more choosy, as I'm becoming a little bit more standoffish, like in my escort business, like using a stage name, blurring my face, showing no more skin in my photos, not being available for same-day appointments. The more a woman respects herself and her time, the more valuable she is, the more valuable she appears. I remember when I first was reading other women's ads, and they would say, I need a 2-week notice for an appointment, or I need at least a 1-day notice. And I thought, wow, she's really got a lot going on. She's kind of choosy. She's kind of selective. Kind of made me feel a little more intrigued than the women who would be like, can see you right now, short notice. I'm like, that's just some little floozy, just, nothing going on, just willing to take any Tom, Dick, or Harry. I think that being selective does not hurt us. Being loving and available to just anyone is harmful to our hearts. It causes people to get resentful and feel guarded, and it makes us look, I don't think it's attractive to men either, is what I'm saying. So being less available is good. Being available first to ourselves and having other people prove themselves. I don't think we should be loving to just anyone. I think that, and by having these boundaries, it's easier to stay in a state of love. I think what's important is to stay in a state of love as much as possible. Even though it's not always possible, we're going to have different feelings that come through. But I have this intention of, I want to be in a place of love. And sometimes I don't. Sometimes I just get on a rant, or I get on my soapbox, because I'm not perfect. But if I want to stay in a place of love, it's going to be a lot easier to do it if I don't let other people who don't deserve it infiltrate and get too close to me by annoying me or taking advantage of me and pissing me off. So in order to guard myself, I have to have boundaries, because the world is full of imperfect people who want all kinds of things from us. And I think that we have the right to guard our hearts and have a little bit more of a standoffish attitude, like, well, show me, buddy, that you even fucking deserve my time. And that standoffish attitude is reserved for people we don't know. I think that once we get close to people, we have to be really soft. Like with my friends, if somebody that is close with me would get upset with me, I don't go on that attitude, like F you loser, like I do with the guys on the YouTube comments who just don't even use their real name and feel like they're entitled to just criticize me. And they would never do it in real life. They're just cowards, venting. In my real life, I actually work through things with people. Okay, tell me about that. Let me look at my behavior, working toward a resolution with people that I love. But I'm not going to love just anyone, and I'm not going to hold space for just anyone. And it's not my responsibility to cure men with broken hearts, to cure men with lonely hearts, to cure men who want something from me. Um, it's my intention to protect my heart and to put myself first. And if people want access to that, they have to show up, either in my real life as a friend or by paying me if they want to be a client. I do not want to love just anyone. I think that we have to have a little bit more of a protective attitude and use boundaries. Like, hey, buddy, do you even deserve to come into this circle? So I'm going to encourage you ladies to just make a list of like, even mentally right now, like what are like 2 or 3 things you want from a man to even talk to him? What are 2 or 3 things you want before you will even talk to him? What are some things that he should do or some requirements that you have? You don't have to be nice to just anyone. You don't have to give anyone a chance or a second chance or a third chance. I think that these people have to prove themselves to have access to this. And a person who's congruent and intentional will show up in a way that naturally, if you're congruent and intentional, will be receptive to that person. And if you're not, it's because they're not intentional, they're not congruent. Think about these guys that email me like, hey, are you available? Like, do you have a name? Do you have an intention? Do you have something to say? Like, I don't want to even reply to you. Like, F off, buddy. So it's something I'm still kind of working on. It's kind of difficult when being in business. It's easy to do it like guys just try to friend me on Facebook. I don't accept men on Facebook, it's just women. So I can just delete them. But when it's a potential client, it's a little bit harder because it's that fine line between being receptive to a client and weeding out a guy who's just a time waster and I don't want to give him my time. So I'm still kind of working on those boundaries myself on, because sometimes a client will just say hi just to make sure he's got the right email address. But there are a lot of game players out there, and I don't like it when people take advantage of my time like that. I really don't. And I don't want to pretend that I like it, and I don't want to pretend that I can be loving about it. I don't want to pretend that I don't care, because I do care. It does bother me. Like, I just emailed with you all this time, and you were just leading me on about an appointment. So with those guys, I just let it go. But with some people who are just really persistent, I'm like, F off, loser, just pass. Or I'll just say, I try not to call them losers. What did I say to the gentleman this morning? I said, too many red flags, pass, and you are blocked. I guess I could have just blocked him, but I always want to know where things stand, let people know where things stand. So sometimes I'll just ignore people. I have quite a few gentlemen who wanted an appointment at a certain day and time. We finally agreed on the day and time and the number of hours and the way they would pay the deposit, and then they just disappear. On that, I just kind of let them. I don't want to come back and be like, hey, do you still want this appointment? I think it's up to the man to pursue the woman, and if they chose to not follow up, that's their right to not follow up. But other things like this gentleman today, I got a little more triggered when he's said, I want to do a Zoom call with you, and here's my number. Can you call me? I just thought that respectfully yours, like that's so fucking inauthentic. Respectfully yours, and then calling me gorgeous instead of using my name, and then wanting me to have a phone call with him for free. Like I've gotten a little better. I just said too many red flags. I think a couple of months ago I would have said, fuck you, loser. I'm trying to get better and see that it's not personal and just have my boundaries up. But we absolutely have to have boundaries up because, when a client is legit, he gets a lot of my heart, a lot of my time, and he deserves it. But these other guys don't. So I think what helps a lot with this, you guys, getting to that place, what helps a lot is when we start affirming ourselves and valuing ourselves. What do I need now to give myself attention? Yeah, that's what we have to do. When I give myself attention, my inner child attention, my inner self, like, what do I really need? How do I really want to feel right now? What do I really need? And can I give that to myself? That's what I've been doing a lot more lately. And that's helped me a lot get to this space of, like, I'm content in myself. So you need to match this for me to even want to deal with you. Kind of coming from like a more wholesome place. I hope this video has been helpful. I just want to leave again with saying that you don't have to love everyone in order to stay in a loving place internally. I think that we have to protect what we let into our lives, and we do that by having boundaries and letting people in closer and closer depending on whether they have met the requirements that we have, that they're trustworthy, that their words meet their actions, that they are kind and respectful, and that their actions show this, not just their words, consistently over time. We do not have to love just anyone. In fact, loving everyone is not even possible. It will just lead to resentment and being taken advantage of. So, love with boundaries, I think, would be, the final thing. Love with boundaries to protect the tender heart. Leave your thoughts below, and thank you for watching my video.